Okay guys, so today we have Courtney on our first episode of Bus Confessions. How are you feeling today?
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. And I love that I'm the first one.
Yeah, well, you know, we had to get a really good person for our first episode.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your background.
So my name is Courtney. I used to be a school teacher. That is what everybody knows me for. I've taught every grade level, kinder, middle school, high school. I did that for 6 years. And then I retired in 2017 and started an OnlyFans.
Wow, that's like a big difference. Working with kids, and then I guess in a sense now you're working with like adults.
Yeah.
So yeah, literally. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So when you were a teacher, I was reading an article and it was saying that you made about roughly $40,000 a year.
Yeah. I have a master's degree. I got my bachelor's. Was like, I'm not making very good money. Like, I'm broke. So I was like, I'll get a master's degree. They have to pay you more. So I did that, and they still didn't pay me like a lot more. And so I was like, I'll get my PhD. And I was a year away from graduating with my PhD. And I was like, what am I doing? Like, I've lost my mind. And the school, the principal of the school, or the president, she came to me and she's like, Courtney, we're so excited that you're getting your PhD, but we just want you to know that we're not going to pay you for it.
What?
And so I was like, this is dumb. I quit. Like, I'm broke.
Yeah.
I have so much student loan debt.
Literally.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
So what made you even want to be a teacher in the first place? Like, was that your like dream growing up, like being a teacher? Because I know like a lot of kids when they're young, they're like, oh, I want to be a teacher one day.
Yeah, no, that's not what I said.
Really?
I wanted to be an actress, and then I wanted to be a pilot. I got my pilot's license when I was 16, and I was like, this isn't my thing either. And was going to do like the military route, and then I was like, this isn't it for me.
Yeah, I can't picture that for you.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, you look really cute in the uniform.
I did it for 4 years.
Wow.
Not like the heart like I did in high school.
Yeah.
Not the actual thing. And then I was like, I've always loved kids. I used to like wonder what happened in the teacher's lounge.
Right, literally. Everyone wonders that.
Yeah. Right? It's not that exciting. I'm bummed. And so after a semester I switched to being a teacher. I've always loved kids, and I've always loved kids with special needs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. Did you work specifically with them? Wow.
I was a special ed teacher, so I worked with the kids who couldn't go to a public school because they were physically aggressive.
So did you work with all different grades with that as well?
Yep, all my students were diagnosed with autism, and we're physically aggressive. So I've had concussions, I've had to get...
What?
Yeah.
What was the craziest story, like, with one of the kids that you were teaching, like,
when
about
I got a, like, concussion?
Yeah, like, something like that. What was the craziest?
One student, I walked up to her, she was having a hard time, and she punched me in the head.
What?
Yeah. We had other staff with her, but, like, honestly, you think that you're gonna, like, one, you can't react because you're a teacher, I'm not gonna, like, hit a kid back. And two, like, you think you can, like, they're just so fast.
Yeah.
Like, they're incredibly fast when they, like,
was it a good hit?
It was a solid punch to the brain.
She probably practiced at home.
She got me so good. And so, like, we safely, physically, like, restrain kids so that everybody can be safe. Because they'll go after students, staff, everyone. So while we were, like, trying to get her to calm down, somebody let go of her feet. And she back kicked me. Then same day, within a few minutes, back kicked me in the back of the head.
Oh my gosh!
And so it was like one of the worst concussions I've ever had because I got hit from the front and then got hit from the back. Like,
so you went to the nurse's office that day?
I was the one in the nurse's office.
Not the kid. Oh my gosh, that's like really sad, but it's kind of like a funny story after.
Yeah, I love those kids though. They were physically aggressive because they didn't have like the communication skills, like simple things like if you're like, I need water, my stomach hurts, or I'm hungry, like,
of course,
they couldn't communicate that, and so they learned to be aggressive to like discuss that. So
yeah, but it's good that they had like a good, I feel like you were probably really good with, you know, kind of guiding their emotions and feelings and helping them express their needs, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I loved those kids. I didn't have any hard feelings, just like every day was a new journey.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it. You were probably going to work like, I have no idea what's gonna happen today.
You never know.
Yeah.
And we always called Tuesdays terrible Tuesdays because Monday they were like tired from the weekend, and then Tuesday, like getting back into the schedule and the routine, they were like out of control.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's So, were you always working with special needs kids, or did you do like regular classes also, or what subjects did you teach?
So I did, like when I was doing my student teaching, I did general education a little bit, but like special ed always had my heart, so that's what I like geared towards.
I love that.
I've taught every subject level and like every like level. Like I've done super severe kids that are like functioning at like a preschool level but are in high school age.
Right.
But I've done also like college preparatory where it's kids that are like learn a little different or just need like a little tutoring. So my last year I did college prep and it was kids that are doing like calculus but they're not going as fast as the other kids in class. So
I was definitely in those classes.
I was like, me?
I was definitely in those classes. I would tell you that. Did you have like a favorite subject, like science or like math or anything?
Art.
Well, mine too. Mine was art and lunch, literally.
Art and lunch. I liked things where I could like connect with them too, because a lot of times with like the heart, like your math, your reading, your writing, whatever, like you get so much resistance from the kids, and I liked subjects where I got to like actually connect and have fun.
And know their personality and stuff like that. And they can be creative.
A little bit in those subjects, and like I would try to, but it's just a little different when there's not a stress level with it.
No, totally. Especially since too, like if you're doing calculus, you probably have to try to remember like how to even literally. Well, that's definitely a different lifestyle than what you have now, I'm sure.
Very different.
Do you ever miss it?
I miss the kids. I miss nothing else about it.
Yeah.
The parents, the school, the politics of it. Like I would get dress coded. I would get in trouble for my social media.
Oh my gosh.
Like little things too. Like I was in Vegas, had a glass of wine in my hand, and like I got called to the office because like I was drinking. I was like, it's wine. I'm of age.
Yeah.
I'm in Vegas. Like none of this should be wrong, but like
that's
got
crazy.
in trouble for it. Yeah.
So speaking of the parents of your students, when you would have like parent-teacher conferences, would you ever notice like, so I mean, you're hot.
Thank you.
You were probably like the hot teacher at the school.
Yeah.
Totally. That's probably why you got dress coded. Haters.
Yes. Haters.
Literally.
And curvy. Like clothes fit a little different so people lose their minds.
So were the parent, like, have you ever noticed any of the moms would be kind of like side-eyeing you, or the dads kind of like giving you like...
I got a lot of like different things, like parents who were like, oh damn, kind of energy. I also got pushback that people are like, you're not educated, or like you're not old enough,
just
or, like,
based on your looks.
Just based on my looks. Like you're just, I had one dad come to me and he's like, you're just the secretary, and I was like, nothing against secretaries, but like I have a master's degree. Like, I teach your kid every day and I have for 9 months. Like
that's wild.
Stuff like that. But a lot of like parents that were like, you're his teacher? Like,
I bet.
Like,
I bet.
On field trips, and
I mean, I would love it if you were my kid's teacher.
Right? Thank you. Yeah.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so how does your husband feel? Your husband's Nick, right?
Yes.
Okay. How does he feel about your whole lifestyle change? Like, was he, how long, well, first of all, how long have you guys, like, been together?
We've been together 12 years. He was essentially my boss at the school, like the vice principal, and I was a first-year teacher. So
is that how you guys, okay. That's why the teachers were hating. Yeah. They probably all thought he was hot, too.
Right? And they're all mad about it.
Yeah, literally. So you guys met, and what was he just like, he wanted to take you out or something? Did you guys have to be low-key about it?
We were low-key. I was technically in a relationship when I first started the job. And then like 6 months later we started dating, but kept it like pretty low-key until I was pregnant.
So then they had to know.
Now they had to know.
Yeah.
People were figuring it out because like we'd drive to school together
and
like go home together or whatever. But we always kept it professional during the day.
Did it ever get you in trouble or anything?
No, not that part of it ever got me in trouble. My social media got me in trouble.
That's so crazy. Like how that like, it's like a whole different part of your life, but it still goes so much into your professional life, you know?
That's the thing though, is that they like dictate every part of your life. It's not just like what you do in the classroom, it's like every part of it that they want to control. I'm like, you don't pay me enough to control all of it.
Yeah. No, for sure. So back to your husband, like when you guys, obviously he knew you were a teacher. When you guys were in the relationship, did he ever like kind of like push you to do something like that because of how hot you are? You know what I mean? Or was he ever jealous about it? Or did you have to like persuade him to go in the industry? Or like how did that?
Not at all. So I always wanted to model, but I didn't know how to go about doing it. And so like he started by like, I started doing bodybuilding shows, and so he would take my like progress pics every week. And so he actually was the one who ran my social media, my Instagram.
Okay.
He grew it to 40,000, was like posting my photo. He would take photos, post my photos, and like grew it all. So he was 1,000% behind it. I was more of the one who was like nervous, because I was always like a rule follower, wanted to be like get it right, and so I was like, oh, I don't want to get in trouble with the school, like I don't know if I'm good enough to be a model, kind of a thing. And he kept me going and pushing it, and yeah, he encouraged me to do my first like photo shoot, and then that's when it like just like blew up.
That's wild. So you didn't have to like beg him or anything.
No,
he was for it.
He was for it.
Oh my gosh, we love his energy.
Right? He's the best. Yeah.
Literally.
And then when I was like, I think I want to do, he had brought up OnlyFans, and I was like, I don't know, like I don't want my photos out there. But then it hit a point that I was so frustrated with like community guidelines.
Right.
That I was like, I want to start OnlyFans. He's like, let's go. Like, do it. Let's start.
So before you did OnlyFans, did you guys make any like private videos to yourself? So he already knew you could do it.
Yeah.
He was already your #1 fan.
Totally. And people would message on Instagram and be like, can I buy a private video? And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, this is actually when I was a teacher.
Really?
And so I did start selling private content during that time. We were broke. Like, broke. Like, at one point even filed bankruptcy. Like, that broke.
Well, because as a vice principal, you still don't make that much either. So total, you guys really weren't bringing in anything comfortable.
And we have 4 kids.
Wow, 4 kids. Yeah, that's wild.
Like, we were making less than $100,000 a year, and 4 kids. Like, we were really tight financially. So like people would message me like, hey, I'll pay you this amount of money for a video, and he was like, for you to take, you can take like 4 or 5 minutes and we'll make a couple $100, like pay half our rent or whatever.
Yeah. Totally.
And so that's where I was like, well, dang, I don't even make that in like 3 days as a teacher.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I started doing that, and like, I didn't do the private Snapchat, but started kind of selling stuff through Snapchat too.
That's, I feel like that's how a lot of the girls start now, because it is such easy money, and especially when you feel good and confident about yourself, why not make money off of it?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I love that woman empowerment. So the fact that you could go from kind of in a sense being not so happy with your life and then really owning into your power and being like the boss bitch that you are now, like it's so good to see like that, you know what I mean, like the evolution of it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So speaking of your kids, so you have, are they all young, are they in grade school, are they older?
Mixed. So the 2 older ones are my husband's, and they're 19 and 21.
Okay.
So they're older. The little ones are 9 and 10.
So the older ones, what do they like? Do they have an idea of what you do?
They do. Yeah. So they have, I don't know the extent of what they do. Nobody wants to know that.
Of course.
They know I do OnlyFans. The oldest one works for us and like runs like my website, and like, because I own my own business as a life coach as well.
Okay.
So she does like all my like website stuff, uploading programs, and so I have a course on how to do OnlyFans, and so they're very aware.
Wow.
And I'm in the on TV and in the news a lot, so they're like, I know they know.
Yeah.
The little ones, they know I'm a model. That's pretty much all they've ever known. I go to photo shoots, I do things. There's 2 poster-sized photos of me in the living room, fully nude, with just rose petals.
I love it.
They're just like beautiful, sensual, and like want our kids to be able to like celebrate
of course
human body,
absolutely
female body, like not have shame in it. So,
I love that. That's so important, especially because the older generations, they were so conservative about the female body, when it's really the most beautiful type of body anyone could have. No offense to the guys out there, but you know what I mean.
It's beautiful, it's sensual, and the fact that we have so much shame and judgment around it, I'm like, I don't want that. And I'm like, I'm raising 2 older girls, but the 2 little ones are boys, and I want them to have like love and power and cherish the female body
and
too.
Respect and all of, from a young age.
Yes.
So for the girl, the 20-year-old, do you think any of her friends know? Like, do you think they like kind of like? I'm sure like her guy friends are like, ooh, like what about your stepmom?
So the funny thing is, my last year as a teacher, I worked at the school that they went to.
Okay.
And so I like tried to follow like what they were comfortable with. I'm like, we can pretend like we don't even know each other exists, even though we have the same last name. But because I was special ed, I would go into different classrooms throughout the day. So I would go into their classroom, and like sometimes I'd be like, hi, but like kind of keep it low key. But the part about it was that their teachers like started watching my Instagram stories or following, or kids would be like, wait, that's your stepmom, and like, so yeah, they've definitely heard things for sure.
So another question that's a little bit more random.
Okay.
But let's see here. What did Natalie say when you told her about your OnlyFans?
My friend Natalie?
Yes.
Oh my god, she was so, my friend, it's important to me to have friends around that like support me and all of me. And they were like, of course you have an OnlyFans, or of course you're doing it. Like, so loving, so kind, so sweet. Like, everyone, like, I have a guy friend and he was just like, yeah, do it, like, make money, like, yeah, they were just like so loving and sweet. And like, my friend Natalie even has like gone with me to take photos of me, even though she doesn't do OnlyFans, like not in the space at all. She'll go and take like nude photos of me and stuff.
And we love a supportive friend, right? We love that.
And like, you don't even have to participate. The fact that you just love and cherish me
of course
for what I love.
That's a forever friend,
right?
That's a forever friend for sure. So a recent article that I saw that was actually posted on the 24th of August, which was just a couple of days ago, it's about mothers that were demanding a teacher to be fired because of her body. Did you see that article?
I did.
So they said basically that it was distracting to the students. What is your take on that?
I think it's horrific that we are judging women still by the shape of their body and based on like what kind of job you can have by what you look like, what curves or not curves you have. Like, I think it's terrible that we're like shutting kids down too of like what they're capable of or what they're processing.
Right.
A little similar but different is like, as a teacher with autism, like of kids with autism, they would always say like, don't have bright colors in your classroom because it's too stimulating. But when you go and like to have only tans and neutral colors, but when you go into the real world, it's colors everywhere, right? Like, we want to teach our kids to have respect for women, respect for their bodies, to love and appreciate, right? Like, I think the classroom is a beautiful place to even begin to learn that, or like have that respect or that cherish, or like that everybody's different, right? Like, this like one size fits all, or you have to have this specific thing, is, we got to get rid of that.
Well, because it's interesting, because if you think of it on the contrary, if a really, really skinny teacher was working at a school, no one would say anything.
No one would say anything.
Is that because people sexualize the more curvy body? Is that where it like lies, do you think?
Yeah, totally. I think it gets sexualized, and like me, where I would get dress coded based on like, I'd wear the same thing as everyone else. We had to wear a polo and jeans. I wore it just the same as everybody else, but would get dress coded because I had curves.
So would you stand up for the girls who wear more curvy that would get dress coded because of that situation?
1000%. Yeah, it should be equal. Right. Like, you're wearing jeans, I'm wearing jeans. Like, it's all the same.
Because like, you know, if a girl's a little bit thicker and wearing jean shorts, sometimes they look a little bit tighter. Yeah. And compared to a girl who doesn't have as much meat on her legs, and so it's you know, it's really unfair, especially being a girl who's young and trying to love herself. High school, middle school, even elementary school, like those are all such hard years for a young girl, especially if you don't have a good upbringing, and you never know where these kids are coming from. Their family dynamics, and so they want to come to school and feel good, and then they have teachers who shame them for what they're wearing, and you never know, you know, what if that's the only thing they had to wear? Right. So that's good that, you know, you would stand up for that, because it's crazy that parents who aren't even in the school will just judge off of what they see on the outside of the school.
Too, being that teacher and finding out that your kids' parents that you spend all day with, most of the time, like, I spent more time with my students than my students' parents did. Of
course, yeah.
Did so much for those kids every day. Like, I had kids that had seizure disorders that I'm administering medications. Like, I'm keeping these kids alive. Right. That you would then turn around and say something terrible about somebody based on their appearance? Yeah. Like, that's gross.
And you would think in 2022 things would be different, but literally just 3 days ago.
I got sent the article many times because it was so similar to my own.
Did you talk about it at all on your social media?
I have not yet, because I've been here, but yeah, I'm gonna address it, because it is such a, it's mind-blowing to me that we're still here.
So your story, you said, was a little bit similar. Tell us about what happened with you.
Just like I was getting in trouble, like dress coded, I got called. So I was posting my progress pics on Instagram. My page was private, so students couldn't get into it.
Right.
I went by Courtney Lynn on Instagram at the time so that my students couldn't find me. But what happened was the school server downloaded every website that anybody was on at the school and saved to the school server. So what was happening was there was getting a lot of talk about my Instagram photos, and each classroom had a minimum of 3 staff. And so all these staff are like finding out about my Instagram and looking at my photos. Well, they're all saving to the school server.
Wow.
And so they have all my booty
Did you
pics,
know this at the time?
No
Is this
idea.
legal?
I don't know, but that's what was happening. And
Wow.
so they have, and so essentially they're watching everything that you're doing, right? Every website you're on.
I'm sure you were like the hot topic. They're probably like, what is she doing this weekend?
Right.
Like, you know, the hot teacher. Exactly.
Yeah. So the administration was too nervous to call me to the office, so they called my husband to the office to talk to him about my pictures and how they were concerned about, you know, my expression.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been on the news a couple of times talking about your story. Is that basically what you would touch on? And kind of, did you get good responses from that when you would do that?
I got mostly good responses from like other teachers who are like, thank you for showing us that there's like another way, because it is a job where people aren't getting appreciated, respected, and the pay, obviously we've known the pay hasn't been good for a long time, but like there's other components in it, so people are really grateful that like I'm showing that there's other options, whether it is OnlyFans or just like another path.
Right.
I have gotten some hate from like parents groups who are like, I can't believe this is what's happening with our teachers. But like,
do you think that stems on jealousy though, in a way?
Jealousy and not understanding like that like our body is wrong. It comes from like shame, it comes from guilt, it comes from religious trauma, it comes from society shaming us. Like all of those things together have put so much pressure on teachers that it's like we can't even live to your standards.
Right.
Yeah.
No, it really is impossible these days, especially because people are so overwhelming with their opinion, especially in places where it's unhealthy. It's like if they have kids going to school, you know, and that's how they're being raised, and then they see somebody like you who's stopping that way of thinking and being bold and loud about it. It's so important because there's really not many teachers who would do, or ex-teachers, I guess, who would do that and stand up for the teachers.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally.
So important. So, after you started OnlyFans, have you had any negative response with OnlyFans specifically, or has it been like a really smooth sailing, like life change?
I think it's been really smooth sailing. People have been accepting. I think because it was kind of a natural progression from where I was. I had already started posting sexy pics on Instagram and doing like a lot of modeling and photo shoots. So like once I decided to start an OnlyFans a few years later, like people were like, of course she's on OnlyFans now. People had questions, of course, that were like, what does this mean? Like, can you go back as a teacher? And I was like, oh, don't worry, love. I'm never going back as a teacher. Like, that's not even in the books. And so, like, that, and then, like, people wondering about, like, my image, or, like, what about photos going out, or what about the kids, or different things like that. But for the most part, I would say people have been, like, very loving and accepting.
So, speaking of how different the lifestyle is, now you're, you know, showcasing your body and really being, you know, supportive of the girls on OnlyFans, because I would say that you're a big voice for them because of your past. So besides all of that, let's talk about some of the fun content that you make. Do you have any like favorite type of videos that you do, or have you ever been asked like a crazy request and like done it and you're like, oh my gosh, I never thought I would do something like that?
I think there's a lot of things I never thought I would do, but like being here, I didn't know I'd be in a band like fucking other girls. But
literally, here we are.
Amazing. I think the weirdest request I got, and it didn't end up happening, but it's still a moment in my mind, was I got asked to watch somebody stick a street cone, like one of those big street cones, up his ass.
What? His own ass? Not even you?
No, his own. One of me was going to pay me to watch it.
So So did you tell your husband about that?
Yeah.
Did you guys laugh about it?
He was like, do it. Do it for free. Let's just watch
Let's just watch it. Literally. That's like something I would want to do too.
Right.
I'd be like, oh my God, I have to see.
I don't have to pay you. I get to you're going to pay me to watch this moment.
So was he going to just go steal a street cone on the street?
I had so many questions.
Did you ask him?
No, because I was like, but is it like a soccer?
Yeah, literally.
Like a little one? Or is it those big ones in the city that are massive?
Yes.
I had so many
It
questions.
was definitely a massive one. If we're being honest.
It was.
Because,
it was.
It had to be.
Hole at the top where you can see all the way into his lungs.
So was his brain literally? Was that so you said you think about that all the time. I honestly, after this conversation, every time I see a street cone, I'm gonna think about that.
You can't unsee a street cone.
No, you can't. And the thing is you can picture it too.
Yeah. I feel like I already watched it.
Literally, me too. Why didn't you watch it?
He didn't end up paying.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's kind of bummed.
Maybe he's just all talk.
Yeah.
Maybe that's one of his dreams to do, and then he just got scared.
Got a little nervous, got a little stage fright.
For sure.
Yeah.
So
clinched up, got a little nervous.
Literally couldn't fit because he was so clinched. So with your videos, do you do boy girl with your husband? Is he still vice principal? Can he do that?
No, he actually left the school 1 year before me.
Oh, okay.
He owns his own business as a life coach, but he also is a huge life coach for sex workers.
Oh my gosh, we love that.
Right?
Yeah, so do you guys make videos together?
We do. As of a year ago. I did it by myself for a few years. And then a year ago we decided to start releasing our sex tapes.
Yeah.
Within a week I did my first, we released a sex tape and I did my first girl on girl scene.
So that was a really good week.
It was a great month. Yeah.
How long would you say it took you to beat a whole year as a teacher just doing OnlyFans, income-wise?
I make my salary at least once a month.
Isn't that insane?
Right? Isn't that wild?
And there's so many teachers out there who just wish. They're just if only I had the courage, because you have a lot of confidence, it exudes out of you.
Thank
you.
You
can tell when you first meet, when I first met you, I could tell oh my gosh, she's that bitch. And so, but not every girl has that. So I'm sure that they're just oh my gosh, I wish.
I feel too, because I talk a lot about confidence, everybody has it within them. It's just we feel we lost it along the way, right? Because you're oh, I don't meet society's standards.
Right.
So that makes me not good enough, not hot enough, whatever.
Right.
I think it's if we can unpack the bullshit and come back to our own confidence, it's in there. Just gotta refine it.
It totally is.
Yeah.
So do you have a bunch of loyal fans that are obsessed with you that you talk to every day on OnlyFans?
I do. I think that's the biggest thing with OnlyFans that I try and describe to people. I'm yes, it's a platform for sexy content and explicit content. But I think a lot of people also go there because of the connection.
Right.
They get to connect with you, and I'm not answering all my DMs, but they get to connect, and not just hey, here's a sexy pic, but how's your day going?
Right.
Tell me about your family or your life or whatever, your work or whatever.
Well, a lot of people, that's what they want. It's an online girlfriend kind of with benefits. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm here.
Yeah, there we go.
And I'm here for you.
Really. Anything you need.
Right?
You're the life coach now for OnlyFans.
I'm the life coach and sexy.
We love that though.
Thank you.
So did you just start doing girl on girl now?
It's been a year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you like that as much as boy? I mean, I know it's with your husband with boy girl, but has it been fun?
Yeah. Me. It's super fun, but I've been because super nervous, just because it's it's vulnerable, right?
Of course.
It's super vulnerable and intimate with somebody new. But it is a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it sells really well.
So some guys say that they would never wife a girl who does OnlyFans or is a sex worker. How do you feel about that?
I think it's dumb. I think we're the baddest bitches.
Period.
One, if you're gonna shame a woman for her expression, to me, when I see a woman who's on OnlyFans, I'm this woman has had to work through shame and guilt or whatever from society. I had religious trauma, right? It's not easy to just show up and express yourself and be nude and put yourself out there in a vulnerable
Of course, no, it's hard.
This woman has shown up and she knows how to run a business and market herself and make money. She's a go-getter. To me, I'm hell yeah, that's
right.
That's more of a win than it is as a negative.
Right. With your husband being a life coach, does he deal with that topic sometimes of girls feeling they can't be, with somebody because of their job?
It's a common topic, or they're not going to be able to find somebody, or it's going to take away from something. maybe you do OnlyFans, but your real dream is to do TV or something, and it's like, oh, now I'm not going to be able to do TV because I'm a sex worker. And so like working through those different things of like, or like families bullshit about it, like all kinds of different stuff.
Yeah. No, that's so true.
Yeah.
So speaking of girls who get shamed for doing sex work, it's kind of opposite for guys, I would say. Would you agree? Like, they don't really get shamed for, you know, having 10 baby moms, which brings me to my next point. How do we feel about, how did you know? How do we feel about Nick Cannon, 10th baby mom?
I just saw the article that the 10th baby is on the way.
Yeah.
I'm all for people doing what they feel is best for them and children-wise, but I guess my thing is like, what are we doing? Like, is this what you feel like you need to do?
Right.
Is this like a distraction from your life's purpose? Like, I'm just curious from his perspective, like, what are we doing?
Well,
what are we doing here?
I actually think that some guys have like a baby mom fetish.
Okay, yeah.
So they like to get girls pregnant for the first time.
Oh,
because
that makes sense.
In Miami, I've noticed a lot of that, where people will come up, ask if I'm single and if I have any kids, and the first thing they will say is, I'm trying to give you a baby. And so in my mind, I think, of course, that can be said as like a flirtatious thing, but that could be really serious deep down.
It's a life commitment.
Right.
It's not just like, this is cute and fun for 9 months.
So sometimes I think like, but it is interesting to think that if a girl was out here having 10 kids with 10 different guys, it would be so looked down upon.
Oh, 1,000%. Do you remember Octomom?
Yes.
So it wasn't even different dads,
yeah.
But like, she has been shamed ever since that for having so many babies and the trauma that puts babies through, whatever.
Right.
But like, it's so looked down upon. It's not even the same.
Right.
How we get treated so differently for like, how many people have you slept with? Like, a guy is like, congrats, bro. Like,
I know, literally.
It's like, you're a slut, you're a whore. Which, I mean, I like those terms. Please.
Period. Yes. Turns you on,
right?
honey.
But yeah, it's not even the same.
Yeah, at all.
No.
So when I was looking you up, your name is Courtney Tillia.
Yes.
And I saw an article that has almost the same exact name of you, Courtney Taylor.
Oh my God. Okay.
Does that name ring a bell?
Yes, it rings a bell, because here's what happened. So I'm aware of her situation and her.
So she was the girl who did OnlyFans and basically killed her boyfriend.
Killed her boyfriend. Correct. She was just arrested.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So here's the thing. Because our names are so similar, and we're both big in OnlyFans, somebody messaged me and they were like, "Hey, I saw this TikTok," and I was like, "Okay." And it's MSNBC, a huge media outlet, right? Is telling her story and has my photo.
No way.
Attached to it.
Because your names are so similar.
Because they're so similar. And how the media works is, after a big outlet releases an article, all the smaller ones just copy the article. Right? So by the time I found the article, it's already been 24, 48 hours. It's already spread like wildfire, and all these articles are using my photo for a murder case.
So what did you do about that?
So I sent cease and desist, but it's already done.
Yeah.
It's done. So
oh my gosh, that is crazy.
But then, like, how you have to have an editor. There's so many articles coming out about her every single day, about like, she asked to see she asked to have his body unburied like a couple days ago. And so you have to be able to see, like, we are producing articles about this person every day. She's bleach blonde hair. I am not at all.
Yeah.
Like, don't you recognize, like, there's something off here?
Yeah.
Nope, they didn't.
That is crazy.
If you see my photo posted with her, just let me know.
Disclaimer.
We'll get an attorney
Disclaimer. So speaking of news articles,
yes,
you went to TMZ to discuss the OnlyFans ban.
Yeah. So
tell us about that.
TMZ came to me. So what happened is I found out, somebody messaged me and they were like, "Hey, did you see the OnlyFans ban?" And nobody knew about the OnlyFans ban, because we didn't get an email that was like, "Hey creators, here's the situation. I'm having an issue with funding. I promise to like protect you. I will keep you updated." Nothing like that, of like a how you would handle a business.
Right.
Tim went to the New York Post, produced an article, said, I'm banning explicit content. My issue with this is that, one, what the hell does explicit content even mean? Because what you think of as explicit content and what I think of as explicit content could be so different.
Right? Totally.
Two, like, why didn't you go to your creators first? You've made billions of dollars off of sex workers' backs, and now you're going to turn it on us. And so I went to the New York Post, and I was like, you're not going to, like, do this to us after you built a platform. You need to protect your sex workers and protect what we've made for you.
Right.
And so then he went, after that article came out in New York Post, he went back to New York Post and was like, I'm trying to protect people like Tillia. And so then I went back to New York Post and I said, if you were trying to protect people like me, you would have done things differently. You would have emailed your creators first. You would have put things in place. You are so connected and funded, you would find a fucking way.
100%.
And so then he was like, oh, it's MasterCard. And he was like, oh, and the MasterCard was like, no, we're not getting involved in this. And so we went back and forth. TMZ called me one day. I thought it was my kid's school, actually. And they're like, hey, Courtney, it's TMZ. Do you have a second? So spoke with TMZ, did People Magazine, did Yahoo News, did all of them, like, speaking out against the ban. And within 72 hours, he reversed it.
So that is crazy.
Yeah.
But you did what you had to do.
My thing, too, is, like, I know I'll be okay, right?
Of course.
Like, I'll figure out a way to sell, make content, make money. But I'm like, I'm standing up for all the people who are here that are like, this is how they fund their family. This is how they provide for their parents. This is how they put their kids in a better school. Like, you're not going to take this away from so many people. Like, I will use my platform and my voice to stand up for everybody.
Right, exactly. So with using your platform, what would you say about social media removing Andrew Tate? Okay. Like, how do we feel about this subject?
I think there's a place for a platform, but what he's doing to promote hate and
violence
against women, against queer, gay, I think it's horrible, and I do believe that we have a way of protecting people against things that are truly harmful against somebody.
Exactly.
Versus, like, me showing my body is not actually harmful to anybody. I'm not actually hurting anyone.
Or promoting violence.
Promotion is hurting people.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And it's definitely a scary thing because, you know, especially, you know, he's all over TikTok too, and there's so many age groups on TikTok, and people look up to people on TikTok. Yes. So if they were to, you know, if someone who was young and thinks that he's a cool guy and gets whatever he wants, that's creating unhealthy behavior patterns in a young boy or girl. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And he's spreading hate. It's not like he's coming from a place of love. Expression, like the way that we show up, is coming from a place of love, right?
Of course.
This is coming from like pure hate.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not a
and also making women, you know, feel more bad about themselves than media already does.
Right.
So he just feeds off of those things.
I'm all for shutting that down.
How long do you think you want to do OnlyFans for?
I get this question a lot because people are like, is it just a money thing? I started OnlyFans before you knew you could make a lot of money in it. Like,
a lot of people started during Corona time, the lockdown. Is that when you started?
No, I started in 2019.
So you were before the wave.
I was before the wave. I started because I was so frustrated with like the community guidelines on a woman's expression.
On Instagram?
On Instagram, that I was like, I want a place to be able to post my sexy photos. I was like, it'd be really dope if I could like make a car payment, some insurance.
Of course.
Like $500 a month would be so cool.
And you live in California, right?
Yeah.
It's expensive out there.
It's expensive. And so I started from there. So I always believe I will do whether it's OnlyFans or just some type of expression and connection and things like that. I feel like I'll always have that. Whether it changes from OnlyFans, I don't know, but something along those lines.
Right. And you'll continue to be a voice for people and, you know, stand up for the community, which is really important.
Yeah.
So since you are on Bus Confessions, and this is our first episode, I want to ask you something, and I want you to tell me something that you've never shared and you're willing to confess right here on Bus Confessions.
Oh my gosh, that's such a general. What have I not confessed? I'm drawing a blank now. Is there like a category that I could like?
It could be anything. Maybe on OnlyFans or teaching, like something that happened while you were teaching that you've never confessed.
Okay.
Or anything.
Okay, I haven't told anyone this yet. It just happened, like...
Okay, let's hear it.
Just, like, within 24 hours. But I just crossed $1 million on OnlyFans.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a huge confession.
Yeah.
That's, like, a very positive one.
It's a positive one. And so I'm actually in the works with the media from bankrupt teacher, because I filed bankruptcy as a teacher and had a car repossessed. So, like, broke-ass teacher to, like, OnlyFans millionaire.
Which is insane.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is truly amazing. I have goosebumps.
Thank you.
So many girls and guys and people all over are going to be looking up to you. And so it's so good that you're such a good light in the industry. You know what I mean?
I appreciate that.
So tell us where we can find you.
I'm Courtney Tillia on all the platforms except OnlyFans. They made me put my middle initial because somebody has my name.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm Courtney L. Tillia on Twitter and OnlyFans.
And how about Instagram?
Courtney Tillia.
TikTok?
Courtney Tillia.
Okay, period. Super easy.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on Bus Confessions today, and we are so excited to have you back again.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course.